So, first question is, do you still remember the time when you heard metal music for the first time?
Absolutely, absolutely. It was actually in my early teenage years, and it was thanks to MTV. Back in the day when I was a teenager, MTV used to be really cool, and they used to play bands like Korn, Limp Bizkit. They used to play later on in the night, Slipknot, and heavy. Like I remember seeing Dimmu Borgir even there for the first time, Nirvana, all these bands that like shocked me when I was around 13 and 14 years old. And I remember falling in love with the band Nirvana. That was my first love in the alternative realm of metal, for sure.
So, do you remember the first time when you heard it growling?
Yes, so around the age between 15 and 16, I was actually making my own income, and with my first so-called salary, I went to the local rock shop or music shop in Moldova, and I wanted to buy some albums. My mother gave me for my birthday a version of Walkman at the time. I went to this place and I was like, I'm going to buy some music, you know. So I bought 2 cassettes at the time without knowing what I'm buying. I just judged by the cover of the album. I bought Sepultura Roots and Slipknot Iowa. And I listened to those albums until they stopped working. I don't even know where those cassettes are. They stopped working. I remember crying because I couldn't even afford to buy more music at the time. And they were just not working anymore. Later on, I started having more friends that listened to the same music, so we would pass music to each other. But yes, these 2 bands, these 2 albums specifically, were the... it's their fault. I'm here.
So, what's your story when it comes to growling? Do you remember for the first time that you joined bands and started doing growling?
Oh yeah, it's very easy. I never played in a different band. I started right away with Infected Rain. So Infected Rain started in late 2007, and it was created by Vidic, his best friend DJ Kappa, and me. We were all friends, just hanging out, having fun, and then all of a sudden we were doing our own music, and we were just doing it all the time because we loved it. We loved it so much. So slowly we add musicians to our band. Slowly I go take vocal lessons, and I understand that I love it so much. But by that time I already was listening to a lot of heavier bands, and I knew for sure that when it comes to my type of vocals, my only goal is to deliver emotion. So there's nothing on this planet, and it's been so many years, and I still believe that there's nothing on this planet that delivers emotion better and more precise than metal music. So as a vocalist, as a beginner in this industry, that's why I really wanted to learn as much as possible to do all these different weird sounds with my voice.
So, did it take a lot of time to figure out the right technique for the growling? Did you lose your voice in the beginning when you started?
Absolutely. Oh my god, in the beginning it felt like I figured it out, and I was just listening to different bands, trying, rehearsing, covering, singing with other bands. I went to vocal teachers that would teach me how to breathe and how to use my vocal cords properly. I would listen to different interviews of other vocalists, and I thought I figured it out until we started touring, and I understood that I cannot sing in this style for more than 1 week or 10 days in a row. After having so many shows every day, I would lose my voice. So I understood that something I do is not really correct, right? So I started digging and asking all other friends, musicians, and I finally came across this super famous vocal teacher that was helping so many bands in the metal industry. And I'm talking about Melissa Cross. At the time, she already had 2 DVDs and so many YouTube videos. So I just started learning as much as I could. And in 2013, actually, I was blessed to have my first lesson in person with her in New York City, because I was visiting a friend and I just tried my luck, and I was lucky enough to get a spot. And she's one of my best friends right now. She's definitely my guru, actually. I owe her everything. I sound the way I sound because of her, and not only because she taught me how to use my vocal cords. She taught me how to be myself. She taught me that it is okay not to be okay, it is okay to be emotional, and it is okay to sound the way I sound. I never have to try to sound like somebody else. And I owe that to her, and I try to suggest the same thing to other musicians that are reaching out to me, because that's the most important lesson that nobody else gave me besides her in my life. And I'm still learning, man. I don't think I figured it out yet. It's every single tour is unique. Every single club, every single festival is unique sound-wise. But I'm very blessed with having a very understanding sound engineer that makes me feel very comfortable with my sound. So that helps a lot for me to keep it together, keep it professional, and do my thing, and be able to have, I think my record is 23 shows in a row or something like that, for an hour and a half or an hour and 15 minutes every day. The most difficult part is not even the singing part or screaming part, right? I call it all singing altogether. The most difficult part on tour that influences vocalists very much is lack of sleep and lack of good food, and most importantly, stress. So people underestimate this, and honestly, I will dare to say that I think even my musicians underestimate that, and other musicians that are not vocalists underestimate how stress can influence their vocalist. It's insane. So I suggest all vocalists around the planet to meditate, take CBD oils, do whatever it is that you can do to calm your brain, to calm your body. Take good care of yourselves, because nobody gives a shit besides you. So yeah, I guess that's the lesson that I still have to learn.
So when you started doing growling, were there like some specific songs that you covered with the band? And when you started doing the growling, were you first sort of like gimmicking your idols, or were you like immediately trying to figure out your own vocal style?
No. I would lie, and everybody on this planet would lie, saying that in the beginning, when they just started picking microphone, they knew exactly how to sound. You try to find your way, and it is normal. It is like that in every single profession. You first try to look up to somebody, you first try to maybe listen carefully to somebody else and make your own conclusions about, but there is very important thing to say. There's nothing wrong about doing cover songs, rehearsing with other bands. Just always remember that every single person is very unique, and their bodies are unique, and something that might work well for me might not work well for you or for somebody else, for many reasons. Many factors can be an influence: ethnicity, genetics, age, I don't know, so many things can be in a way of you sounding, applying the same rules so you can sound the same as somebody else, right? But yeah, that being said, of course, me too, I tried my best to listen to other vocalists. I can't say that I had a specific band or a couple of specific bands that I looked up to. It was never like that. However, I definitely tried to try variety of bands, female vocalists, male vocalists, newer bands, older bands, just so I can find my way, you know. At the time, I gotta say we did some Sepultura and Slayer covers. In fact, we ended up even playing them many times. We even have, I think, one of the Slayer covers online that has insane amount of views. And but of course I tried. Of course I didn't even have enough songs of my own to practice enough, so I was practicing with other bands, of course.
So what kind of like memories do you have when it comes to like playing your very first European tour? Was it like difficult vocal wise to do like many shows in a row?
Oh yeah, as I said, I felt very frustrated because I could feel physically fine, but I could feel that my voice is getting worse and worse every day. But I didn't have enough knowledge of what to do, so I was trying every possible thing. And I was pushing and hurting myself and hurting. I remember coughing blood. But still, I would never cancel a show and still go on stage and sometimes just play instrumentally or whatever, the band, you know. But that was long ago, and right away when that happened, when we started having a lot of shows in a row, I started digging some more and more and doing my research to understand how do other bands do that? How is it possible that my body at the time, super young body, right now I'm almost 36 years old. I was 23 when I started singing, so actually 22, something like that. And way younger, stronger body, you would think, right? But it's not necessarily the age, it's the lifestyle, it's so many things. So definitely throughout the years I made some changes in my life routine, in my diet, in my way of thinking, just to help so I can do my job as good as I physically can for as long as I physically can. But yeah, the memories about those first tours are they are like a nightmare. And I will be honest with you, I still have those nightmares where I try to talk and I have no voice. You know, it haunts me. It was so scary because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know that I had to just rest and drink a lot of water and prepare my voice and stretch my vocal cords, so-called, right? Warm them up, because vocal cords are just like a muscle. You go to the gym and you warm up before doing heavy lifting, right? But nobody taught me that in the beginning, and I was young and I learned by making mistakes. But I think that every single person, like even a little child, before running starts falling, scraping the knees, bleeding, and then you can run, you know? I'm very thankful that my musicians actually never gave up on me, because as I said, I was never a musician before this band. It was a luck, an accident that we just were doing something for fun. I had a completely different career, completely different future planned for myself. So I'm glad that they all stuck around and tried to help me as much as they could.
So what were like your parents' reactions when they heard that their girl has started growling and being in a metal band?
So it was never about the style itself. Although my mom still tells me that she prefers when I sing so she can understand the melody, because she doesn't understand English. But I remember when we started taking it more serious, and I had to sometimes ask myself, like from work, and I couldn't like work full time, I had to work part time only. I remember my mom, she only asked me this. She said, "Are you sure? You built your career for so long." I was a hair and makeup artist for many years before I started singing, many years. And then I still continued for almost 6 years with the band. But yeah, she asked me, "Are you sure? Because you worked so hard to be where you are, and you are so talented in what you are." I was doing great. I really was. And I loved it. I was creative. I loved it. I still do. Like I do my own makeup, my own hair. I love this very much, right? But yeah, she only wanted to make sure that I gave it a proper thought, because it means starting from the bottom again. So that was her only concern. But she knows I'm a fighter. She knows that if I want something really bad, I will do everything in my power, at least, to give it a proper chance. So yeah, my family comes to my shows anytime they can, anytime we play in Italy or in the countries around Italy. My family lives in Italy right now. My sisters absolutely love all genres, and they love metal as well. They grew up with an older sister listening to metal, so they do love a lot of metal bands. So yeah, it's no issue anymore. Every time I release something with my band or other collaborations, my mom just says that, you know, she cannot understand what I'm singing about, but she can feel me. And that's the best compliment I can get from my mother.
So are there like some certain foods or drinks that you would rather not have before the show?
Absolutely. So again, as I said, everybody's very unique. However, I noticed that first of all, I am trying to avoid food for at least 2 to 3 hours before show. I don't eat anything. I might eat maybe 1 banana or 1 apple, something super light. But I also avoid on tour every day. If I need to sing, of course, next day or same day, I avoid bell peppers, onions. What else? I think that's it. But in general, I eat vegan, so I don't eat anything heavy or animal products. So animal fats. I stopped eating any animal products 7 years ago, and I see humongous difference. Humongous. Like, for example, I will give you a small example. We've been on tour since April. And we had 1 European tour, and then 1 week apart, 1 American tour, and then 1 week apart, we started this summer tour.
Crazy schedule.
Crazy schedule, right? And we are it's a headlining tour mainly. The amount that we played today at John Smith Festival here in Finland is actually not our full set that we play normally every day. So I would never be able to do that before. So I chose that for myself. It works perfect for myself. As I said, something that works for me might not work for you, but I avoid bell peppers because they are more difficult to digest for me, and onions. Other than that, I eat everything vegan, a couple of times a day, big quantities. People are actually shocked how big quantities I eat. And yeah, I need energy to jump on stage, so.
2 questions left.
No problem.
Do you have a specific way to hold the microphone when you perform?
Yeah, I try my best to hold my microphone with all my 5 fingers without giving any support with 1 or 2 fingers, which I did before in my past, and I saw a lot of musicians do that. So I hold it full fist like this, first of all. Second of all, I try to... Now we have a sound engineer that we work with for 7 years, and in time we develop a technique that is comfortable for him doing sound, and it's comfortable for me singing. So having a microphone technique is very important. However, there are different microphone techniques. So many, and different sound engineers are used to different ones. So if I should ever give a suggestion to any vocalist, I would say talk to your sound engineer if you have one that works with you all the time. If not, then use the classic one. When you have longer notes, higher notes, put it further, and everything else just keep it at the same level, because with all the existing effects that sound engineers like to use on any instrument, really, not just vocals, you want to make sure that there's, a stability a stability in the way in your style of singing. When there's a stability and you always do the same thing, your sound engineer will adapt to you. If not, he will talk to you and tell you, hey, maybe we can change certain things. So to answer your question, really, I just do whatever my sound engineer taught me to, and it works for both of us. I am perfectly happy with it. So there's one more thing. The technique that I'm using for my vocals is Melissa Cross's technique, and she tries her best to teach that singing, screaming, or speaking has to be on the same volume. So if you remember that and apply that rule, you will never have to do much microphone technique, because it will all be pretty much in the same range. It won't be like this. It will be maybe like this. So I'm trying. Again, I'm not a saint. Sometimes I do mistakes. Sometimes certain venues have very interestingly placed equipment. So I have to also ask my sound engineer if there's anything specific he wants me to do for this specific venue, because of how the speakers are turned. So pretty much, yeah, just work as a team, you know, work as a team with your band members.
Last question. Any advice you would like to give to a young metal vocalist who has just about to start their journey and become the next Lena?
Oh my god, that's the first mistake. Never try to become the next Lena, never try to become the next Corey Taylor, never try to become the next Jonathan Davis or anybody. Be yourself, rule number 1. Rule number 2, no matter how talented you are, take lessons, be humble and take lessons, because even if you are the god of vocals, you can always learn more. So that's all, I guess.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.